Like the only living portion is right here. Right here is where all of the sap flow is coming from that's feeding this major vein, as well as this one. Slide the container up, and this could sit along the front face of the container like that. Then this whole thing would be tilted up so that you were looking at all of this. Really, really phenomenal dead wood, twisted, contorted, beautiful. So the best part of this tree is this area of deadwood right in here where the live vein and the deadwood really intertwines. So we've tilted the tree up to show that from the immediate front. We've also chosen to rotate it a little bit so that this line here, which is also going to be deadwood, is inclined up a little bit and not perpendicular to where the eventual container will be. So we want to use this cascading branch to accentuate this movement down and to the right. However, this is really separate from this foliage mass. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate the deadwood from the living vein here. We're going to structurally move this and then bring the finer branches back forward to integrate with this pad. So we have our upper apical canopy and then our cascading form terminating right here as opposed to down here. So we have some of these roots or pieces of maybe longer branches that were cut off and the stumps are left here. So what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll split and cut and tear the deadwood back to try and naturalize these so we can't see where these were cut off. And we're going to experiment a little bit with creating layers within the deadwood itself to generate some interest here on the backside, even though we won't be seeing this from the front, so we still want the level of detail of our work to carry through front to back on the tree. On the rest of the deadwood, so that I don't have to pull and really apply a lot of force to the root system, particularly in a juniper that's got a really fine root system. The last thing you want to be doing is cranking on the deadwood and really beating up all those fine roots. So you use that round section of this root cutter to roll on the deadwood. It's a good technique. And you can really see this red section is extremely hardwood. This white section is extremely soft. This white section will be the first to go as the wood deteriorates in the weather as a bonsai over time, because it hasn't had time for all of the sap to be pumped into the interior of it. This red, that's sap being pushed into the core of the deadwood. That gives it a lot of resistance to rot, a lot of resistance to insects, provides a backbone for the tree to grow vertically. Even though this is a creeping juniper, most junipers have this characteristic of sap injection. It's what preserves the deadwood. That's why field-grown trees typically tend to rot faster, because they don't have that same injection of sap in their deadwood. They're just not that old. So we'll simplify this, and then we'll come back with a carving tool and just get rid of some of the pieces that are a little bit excessive and untidy looking. Beautiful. See how much is just dead? And so you'll see the bright white when I hit it. It's the new living vein. What you're doing. And read the striations in the bark to know once you see that margin, where that margin is going to travel. So if you're here and you want to compact it, you go here and then here. Yeah, because a lot of people try to do this. Yeah, twist all the branches around. You need to come from here and then come back. So if we go from here, which the live vein is set up in the correct orientation to bend, bend it away. Even moving this from here to here is going to take this tip all the way to here. Now all of a sudden this foliage mass is here, which is okay, because if this moves here and this moves here, then we can bring these tips back and sit right underneath this. And that's really what we're hoping for. Farther. Runs right here. And this is that crotch where these two live veins separate, and this one comes onto this one. And this one carries on down to this top one. And then along the bottom side, this bottom one comes down here, from right over here, along the bottom, okay? So now, we can bend from here, and bend both of these live veins. And then once that's successful, we'll shorten this one to a gin, and then this will all turn into deadwood right here, this whole section. I'm going to roll clockwise with the bend because I would never just want to put a straight bend on this live vein, and this already has this clockwise roll to it here where the live vein is coming over. I'm just going to follow that. So my raffia needs to have that same roll. I need to roll in the exact same direction. That way, as my raffia is flexed, I'm rolling in the same direction as it's being applied and it just tightens on the living vein.
Occasion's a toughie.
Now I'm ready to go more. So we want our apex to occur right here, but our highest point occurs from this more major prominent branch that comes from underneath our highest point that we hope the apex would occur at. So we have to take this big piece and then bend it down so that it's actually lower than our highest apical point. And all of these branches are attached to this. So this is a big bend for this tree. So I've got to get this branch all the way over into here. And then that'll create room for this branch to come forward and close this gap. All right, so that gets that out there for that distance. We can use this to make a complete branch. So now we can bring this up front and close the gap here. And that bridges that gap front to back. So now all of a sudden this isn't standing out here by itself anymore. A bit farther forward as well. Use that length here. And now we're starting to get a really nice complete tree. Feels like it has a definitive direction now. And that should be the counter movement to everything. That'll sit inside this deadwood, counterbalance everything moving this way. All right, so we've got the finished product here. Our cascading branch coming this way. We tried to shorten it as much as we could so that it didn't protrude too far towards the front. The apex moving in the direction of the cascading branch, and by moving that apex in this direction and bringing some of the branches around, we've opened up all of this interesting deadwood at the base that we were hoping to be able to see when we were finished. In the future, this will increase in density. We'll continue to close the gap between this upper apical portion and this lower primary branch.
The closer those get, the more unified our design is going to be.